My daughter was in Vancouver and called me one day to say that she was volunteering at this amazing event and told me about it. And really it triggered something, because I think working with high school kids, high school girls in in an area where there's a need, suddenly it made that connection. And I think from there, I just sort of thought, this is amazing. And everyone I mentioned it to seemed to be as enthusiastic about it. And I talked to Rhona, we worked together, and from there it just took off. And the enthusiasm, I don't think there was ever a negative, it was always positive. And I don't think we ever thought about it not being possible to do. And my daughter sort of gave us some ideas from what was happening in Vancouver. And I remember talking to you, and
you asked me a question that I still remember, and you said, "Rhona, is there a need?" And I said, absolutely, because we were working day to day with students, and we understood what was happening at home in their home situations, and some of them were attending Danforth and also working. And so we knew this was an opportunity that we could be really helpful if we organized and had an event.
And there was one particular girl that stands out for me. We knew that she had gone to her prom that year, or the year before, and she went, but her story was of having to sort of cut off her mother's slip to wear a top that looked nice. And she really didn't get the full enjoyment, and yet had worked just as hard, probably harder, to graduate than a lot of the kids whose achievements were recognized. And I think it was the inequity of it that touched both of us, and basically everyone that has since got involved.
We felt it was, for many of them, they were the first graduates in their family, and this was a milestone in their lives. And if you choose not to celebrate it, that's one thing. But if you'd like to celebrate it and you can't afford to, then we're looking at a different picture. So this is how it evolved in a very simple way at Carole's kitchen table.
Yeah.
She organized a group of us, and we met in a very casual, informal way and planned it on a very small scale initially, I must admit. It doesn't look anything like what you see out here today. It was, it started out with used clothing.
Collecting used clothing around the city. We had drop-off locations, fire halls, people, and everybody jumped on board too and gave their services. And from there we gradually thought the girls, really, we want them to have the nicest gown that they can possibly have, and it moved into getting donations and expanding it.
Well, we also felt that in looking at our donations that we received, it would also be kind of nice if the girls had a new dress. So as educators, we weren't really familiar with cold calling companies, but we did, and we managed to get retailers on board. And we're talking like 12 years ago. I know it's more common today where companies feel a social responsibility, but it was just starting at that point. So it was really a major achievement for us to have people say yes, and it was very encouraging that they felt like we felt, and donated beautiful clothing to us.
Yeah.
And then one retail sponsor led to another. So it grew as a result of that. And the girls came to the event, and they were just astounded by the choice.
And I think the reaction at the first event, these girls were glowing. And then you really thought, okay, this is something that it's so worthwhile doing.